All right, Andrew Schulz.
How you doing, bro?
Welcome back.
It's so fun to start talking to you again after we've already been talking for like an hour. Like this is a continuation of our conversation 5 minutes ago, but we had to do that. Hey, Vlad.
We got to pretend like it's brand new.
Exactly. Good to see you again.
Next time I'll just ignore you for the first half hour.
Hey, there it is.
There
our
we
normal
go.
relationship.
Last time we talked,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was last time or the time before or sometime, you said you were going to be a culture vulture for Halloween.
Yeah. I didn't get the costume. I couldn't get a vulture mask.
Right.
So I ended up doing, what did we do? We did, me and my boy and a friend of my girl, we were Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was Travolta. He was...
Oh, she had the black suit with the
the
skinny
black
tie?
She had the little stab thing in her titty from the adrenaline shot.
Oh, right.
Blood all that. And we had blood all over the shirts and blood. It was post shooting the guy in the back of the head, shooting the guy in the head in the back of the car.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
So he was Samuel L. Jackson, and I was Travolta.
Okay.
Yeah. Post Royale with cheese combo.
So speaking of culture vultures,
Yes, here we go with this.
you and I have both been hit with this tag.
Yeah.
In fact, my man...
We shouldn't even talk about it. It would just breathe more air into it.
Oh, that's what we're going to do. We're going to breathe it up.
All right.
In fact,
you gotta own it. You got to own it.
You got to own it. You know, in fact...
That's what I'm gonna say. Every time we talk about the culture vulture, I'm just gonna hit you with a What's up?
Is that the
Talk to
sound
me.
vultures, man?
Man, I'm from New York. I got pigeons, dog. I don't know the fuck a vulture is even. I know bald eagles and pigeons. I don't know shit about animals, Vlad. Come on.
So my man Lord Jamar, he went on I think the Premium Pete podcast.
Yes.
And they
Shout out
asked,
to Premium Pete.
Yep.
Love Premium Pete. That's my guy.
you know, he asked if Vlad is a culture vulture, and Jamar said yes.
Okay.
So he came back on VladTV to talk about that.
Yeah.
He asked me if you're a culture vulture, and I'm like, when you think about the term culture vulture, which I feel like the technical term is one who is from outside usually, and I'm going to say usually because I believe you can be within a culture and still be a culture vulture, but usually a culture vulture is termed as one who is outside of a culture, who is profiting from that culture, where they couldn't do it within their own culture.
Okay.
So that's, and if you look at that technical terminology, is that what you do?
I profit from hip hop.
Yes. And hip hop is a black man's culture originally.
Black and Hispanic. Neither of which
Hispanic to me is black. So I don't even go with that separation. That's a given. When I say black, I mean Puerto Rican, all of that. They was there in the beginning.
Everything.
So by that criteria, what would you call yourself?
What if you didn't make money on it?
I guess you wouldn't be a culture vulture. But if you benefited from it.
Technically, I'm trying to think, because vultures, they don't really get the prime meat.
They get the
You're more of like a culture lion.
culture lion.
Yeah, like a vulture would be like some blog that like gets the scraps of an interview with VladTV or the scraps of an interview on a Brilliant Idiots, the scraps, right? Like you getting the meat while it's hot and the blood is still flowing, like the gazelle is breathing while you're eating its throat, you know? So I don't know if I could call you a culture vulture. You're a culture lioness.
Culture lion? Lioness. Oh, because the lioness go out and
lioness
hunt.
Yeah, that's
Bring it
original,
back to the male lion,
that's
right.
original pimping out there, bro.
Right.
All you do is, drop dick off and eat gazelle first.
Well, you also got to fight off the hyenas and stuff like that.
Yeah, but female lions can fight off the hyenas.
No, usually the male lions go and do that.
They bring it. They really got to. If it's real, if the hyenas aren't respecting, they'll go and roar.
Oh yeah,
But,
no, I've seen some National Geographic where I've seen some backs broken by male lions.
oh yeah, they don't play around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing they could keep up their muscle strength without exercise. Like, I lose my shit in 2 weeks. Like if I don't hit the gym and do my little curls.
You're also not a lion.
Says who? Are you calling me a culture vulture, Vlad? Not a culture lion? I'm trying to step the game up, man.
Culture
I want to be
lions.
a culture saber-toothed tiger. That's what I'm trying to be.
Those are extinct.
Well, maybe that's what you are since you're from Russia. You're a culture saber-toothed tiger.
Culture saber-tooth.
Exactly. And I'm an American animal. Well, like I'm a culture buffalo. No, buffaloes don't eat other animals.
They don't.
I really don't know a lot about animals, dog. I don't know if this is the right metaphor for us to do.
Yeah, I mean, what animals in America eat other animals?
Humans.
Yeah, culture bobcat.
I'm a culture bobcat. I'm a culture conquistador.
Yo,
That's
culture
really what
conquistador.
I'm like Columbus with it. Yeah.
Okay. So anyways,
Yeah.
we were talking about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I said, well, is Steve Rifkin, who started Loud Records? And
I don't know these people. I don't know anything about music.
you heard of Loud Records?
Nah, man. I don't know anything about these
Have you
people,
heard
man.
of a little-known group called Wu-Tang Clan?
I think I heard of them one time.
Right,
They're from
there's also-
Staten Island.
I think so, right.
And they've also done a little bit of culture vulturing when it comes to Asian culture.
Asian culture, a little bit.
Wu-Tang, Shaolin.
Right, exactly. Raekwon.
Interesting how this vulturing works.
Right.
Very interesting.
There's also this underground Latino rapper named Big Pun that, was also on Loud Records. Never heard of him?
Heard of this
Never.
Big Punisher. Dead in the middle.
I didn't say Big
Little
Punisher, I
Italy.
said Big Pun.
Little did
Right.
we know we riddled some middleman that didn't do
Diddly.
diddly. Come
Right.
on, man. I know Pun. I grew up
Right.
in Manhattan.
Anyway, so this is the label behind them, Mobb Deep,
Yes,
3-6 Mafia, the list goes on.
Is he a
and
culture
on.
vulture? Yeah.
And he said yes. He said, well, I said, well, if Steve Rifkin's a culture vulture, then, and
I guess my understanding is what's wrong if that is a term. The problem with the term is we use it derogatorily, right? It's used to punish one, like this as if it's a bad thing to be a capitalist. This is America, right? Like in America, everybody here is a culture vulture, right? Like they started Italian food. And then some Polish dudes were like, yo, people don't fuck with kielbasa, but they fuck with pasta. Why don't we open up the Olive Garden or whatever? I don't know if Polish people own Olive Garden. My point is, whatever works, you start fucking with it. Like the guys who own Chipotle, I don't think they're from Guadalajara. You know what I'm saying? There might be some guys that own Chipotle. Didn't McDonald's originally own Chipotle?
Well, I mean, at this point, Chipotle is a public company, so the shareholders own Chipotle.
Exactly, but there was a time where the shareholders owned Chipotle.
McDonald's was an early investor in Chipotle.
They're an early investor. They sold off. But at the time, the CEO of McDonald's was a black dude. I forget the guy's name.
Yeah.
And so technically, is he vulturing off of Mexican culture? Yeah. Whoever invented these cameras that we're using right now, I don't think they're Russian. So technically, you're vulturing off of that, right? Like whoever invented the light bulb, Thomas Edison. So everybody who uses light bulbs and makes money off of light bulbs, like if you're a rapper, you're in the studio and you like light, you like a lit studio when you're writing your rhyme, you are making money off of Thomas Edison. That's what I'm saying. We could keep going further and further back. Like, am I allowed to eat a falafel? Do I gotta thank the great people of Israel and Lebanon and like the Middle East for creating hummus before I eat said hummus or sell a falafel? Who I gotta thank for water?
I guess God.
I mean, really, we're vulturing off of Jesus when you think about it. Or Allah, whoever your guy is, we're vulturing off of God, right? Because God's really the person who invented all this, and we're making money off of God. How disgusting is that? Vlad, how disgusting is that? We are God vultures.
God vultures.
He gave us these things, and we are profiting off of it. Ugh, we need to go back and read some Old Testament, dog.
Yeah.
Really sad. So I guess my point is, yes, there are people that are vulturing, but this is a product of the capitalistic society that we live in, right? And in America, if you believe in capitalism, right, you find what Russell Simmons would call a white space in the market, right? A part of the market that's being underutilized, and you go out there and you exploit that. And exploit we look at as a bad word, but people who found something, they profit off of it and use it, and it's not in malicious intent. It's just part of the capitalistic spirit that has made America the greatest nation in the world.
Right.
It's really what it comes down to. So if you want to call it culture vulture and say it as if it's a bad thing, that's totally fine. I view it, me personally, I view it as somebody who's taken advantage of the American spirit. When I see, when I see, I'm trying to think of different people. When I see Wu-Tang making money off of Asian culture, I'm not like, oh my God, how dare you? I'm like, all right, good for you. You made like karate and like martial arts and Asian culture probably cool to a lot of black dudes that didn't fuck with it. To a lot of white dudes that didn't fuck with it. You made it dope and made us want to watch these movies, made us want to be interested in these things. And you know who ends up making more money also? Asians. Because now their shit is popping to a whole new demographic. So you could call them culture vultures, but they're also the opposite of vultures. What is somebody who gives? They're like culture farmers or some shit. They're planting seeds so these guys can eat.
Culture parents.
That's what I'm saying. Like Kanye, you could say he's a culture vulture for like stealing, like I've said this even here before, like the grunge culture, like all his outfits look like Nirvana and like all these like Northwestern like grunge culture that existed in, what was it, the 90s when we were growing up? 90s, early 2000s?
Right.
Alternative rock kind of look. You could say he's a culture vulture for doing that, but at the end of the day, you know who's making a lot of money? Motherfuckers that own thrift stores. You know what I'm saying? So Kanye's making his money, but he's also making other people money.
Well, it doesn't bother me. I think in the very beginning, when I was first hearing the term, it was like, yo, what the fuck? But then it's like, listen, it's all good. At the end of the day, you cannot be successful in anything that you do and not have a lot of people feel that you should quit and stop and kill yourself and your careers. You know, if I had $1 for every time someone said, no one should interview with Vlad. Vlad is going to be over this year, you know, along with death threats and everything else like that. I could just live off that money. But, you know, unfortunately, I have to keep
So if you
working.
really want to stop Vlad, just give him $1. You know what I mean? Like everybody who doesn't want Vlad, just give him $1.
Give him $1 and I'll stop. If it's enough dollars, though. You know,
You should start a GoFundMe.
a GoFundMe.
You should start a VladTV GoFundMe for stopping you. And what's your number? What do you want to hit? What would make you stop?
100 million.
50, you would stop. Someone sign a check for 50.
50 million, I'll stop.
I bet 25 you stop.
25, I won't stop.
25, you could do something different. It's not like you have to stop working in general. You just can't do VladTV. You wouldn't do that? You wouldn't
Yeah,
stop
well, I
25?
wouldn't know. You know, you got to understand that when it comes to business,
Yeah.
it's not easy to come up with a viable business.
Sure,
out of
but-
100 out of 100 businesses that people try, maybe one will end up actually being viable. So if I stop Vlad TV, to be able to say I'm going to start a brand new business and it's going to be successful and profitable is not easy.
What you need to do is start a VladTV for Asian culture, so when the Chinese take over, you got that shit locked.
It's already there.
You already got the Chinese VladTV?
Yeah. Well, what would you call? What would be a Chinese name? Like
For VladTV?
Lee TV maybe.
Lee TV?
Lee TV.
We could do better. We gotta think. We'll think about it. I'll get back to you. I'll give you the good one. But that's gonna be hot.
Maybe we could start like Tiger Woods TV, which is sort of a combination of black and Asian
Nah, bro,
culture
you gotta
that sort of
go all
transition slowly into it.
You gotta go all in.
Blasian
bro.
TV.
Blasian TV. Now you gotta go
No.
all in, Vlad. You gotta cut it. 25 mil. So that's at your price. So if anybody really wants you to stop what you're doing,
50 mil, not 25.
I think, look, I'm gonna put out there in the world there's 25 because I think that you would do it for 25. But 50 is good to say 50 and settle at a good price. All I'm saying is if people really want you to stop, put your money where your mouth is, man.
Right. Just pay Vlad to stop,
Hey,
and he'll stop.
capitalism is a beautiful thing.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We find out how much, it's really worth. I was talking to a stripper the other day and she was like, this guy asked me to spit in his mouth and she was like $20. And I was like, wow, you really know how much certain things would cost you that most people don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this girl knows exactly how much it costs for her to insert a Grey Goose bottle in a guy's asshole.
Really?
She said it was $1,000, right? But like I wouldn't know how much it would cost me to put a Grey Goose bottle in a guy's asshole. I just wouldn't know, like, because I've never thought about that. How much for you?
Don't think there'd be a price for that.
Hold on, you would stop doing Vlad for 50 million, but if a guy was like, put this Grey Goose bottle in my asshole, you'd be like, I can't.
Yeah, not everything has a price.
100 grand, I'll boot that thing in there. I will punt that shit. We'll just put the tip of it in, and I will
Not
punt
everything
that
has a
thing.
price. I'll tell you, there's a joke.
You wouldn't do that for fucking 100 grand?
Put a bottle in a guy's asshole
Yeah.
for 100 grand.
Just the neck of it, not the base. What are you, a savage? You're trying to put the base of it in? No, you murder somebody like that. But just the neck? Bow, done.
What if it breaks off, and then next thing you know, the guy bleeds to death and he dies?
You made me sign a fucking release form. You don't think you're gonna make the Grey Goose and the ass bottle guy sign a release form? Come on,
That's
bro.
his name, the Grey Goose.
Grey Goose in the ass, man. Come on. Then you're gonna have the culture vultures like, why did you use Grey Goose? This is a French vodka. Okay, you did not ask us permission to use a French vodka.
Should have used the Russian vodka.
You gotta use the Russian.
Some
Where's the
Stolishnoya.
There we go. There you go. That's where you draw the line. I'll only do it with Stoli.